I remember my mom telling me a story. She ran out of money, right? And she took some ketchup just to fit in the restaurant. She took the ketchup there and put it in hot water, made tomato soup, just so she can fit in with her friends. Didn't want them to think that she had no money. Oh, by the way, viewer discretion is advised. I want you to look at your phone you're holding right now, preferably a cell phone, not the one that's hanging on the wall in your hallway that we used to use back in the day. No, the one in your hand, the intelligent one, the smartphone, tablet, whatever you got, even your PC. Is it kind of partly responsible for homelessness? It's got artificial intelligence. Actually, I think we're going too fast. It was even warned to be slowed down a little bit by Elon Musk.
Certainly be a lot of job disruption. Because what's going to happen is robots will be able to do everything better than us. I have exposure to the very most cutting edge AI. I think people should be really concerned about it. I keep sounding the alarm bell, but AI is a rare case where I think we need to be proactive in regulation instead of reactive. Because I think by the time we are reactive in AI regulation, it's too late. AI is a fundamental existential risk for human civilization. And I don't think people fully appreciate that.
There was a study done back, well, let's say in the 70s. And I'm just going to read this to you. Now, world leaders actually studied this, and this is freaky, scary stuff. Okay. A lot of people don't know this actually exists. There's a video I'm going to play while I'm reading it so you can kind of see for yourself. And then I'll stick the link so you can go catch up if you don't want to hear me talking. But, anyways, it's called the Universe 25. It was an experiment, one of the most terrifying experiments in the history of science, which, through the behavior of a colony of mice, it was an attempt by scientists to explain human societies. The idea of Universe 25 came from the American scientist John Calhoun, who created an ideal world in which hundreds of mice would live and reproduce. More specifically, Calhoun built the so called paradise of mice. It's a specially designed space where rodents had an abundance of food and water, as well as a large living space. They can do whatever they want, pretty much. In the beginning, he placed 4 pairs of mice that in a short time began to populate and populate fast, resulting in their population growing rapidly. However, after 315 days, their reproduction began to decrease significantly. Well, what they found was when the number of rodents reached number 600, a hierarchy was formed between them, and the so called wretches appeared. The larger rodents began to attack the group, with the result that many males begin to collapse psychologically. Now, as a result, the females did not protect themselves and in turn became aggressive towards their young. As time went on, the females showed more and more aggressive behavior, isolation elements, and lack of reproductive mood. While there was a low birth rate and at the same time an increase in mortality in younger rodents, then a new class of male rodents appeared, the so called beautiful mice. They refused to mate with the females or to fight for their space. All they cared about was food and sleep. Beautiful males and isolated females made up the majority of the population. As time went on, juvenile mortality reached 100% and reproduction reached zero. Among the endangered mice, homosexuality was observed, and at the same time, cannibalism increased, despite the fact that there was plenty of food. 2 years after the start of the experiment, the last baby of the colony was born. And by 1973, he had killed the last mouse in Universe 25. John Calhoun repeated the same experiment 25 more times. And each time the result was the same. Calhoun's scientific work has been used as a model for interpreting social collapse, and his research serves as a focal point for the study of urban sociology. Now, the best way I can describe that is whatever happened to other South American civilizations that they found ruins, but they disappeared. Was that similar? Now, there was a debate between Jack Ma and Elon Musk, Who are they? Well, everybody knows Elon Musk. He's the guy that's going to Mars, made SpaceX. Jack Ma, he's the Alibaba guy. What's Alibaba? It's like the Amazon in China. He owns that. So he's a very wealthy man. They both agreed the population is going to implode.
I'm worried about the birth rate, which you alluded to earlier. Contrary to, like most people think we have like too many people on the planet, but actually this is an outdated view. This is assuming that AI is fine, assuming that there's a benevolent future with AI. I think that the biggest problem the world will face in 20 years is population collapse. Collapse.
I agree.
I want to emphasize this. The biggest issue in 20 years will be population collapse. Not explosion, collapse. It's very easy to see what the world will look like in 20 years because humans have a 20-year boot sequence. So like you say, okay, well, who was born last year? Okay, now you know what the world look like in 20 years. It's that easy.
I absolutely agree with that. The population problem is going to be facing huge challenge. 1.4 billion people in China sounds a lot, but I think next 20 years we'll see this thing will bring big trouble to China, and the population decreasing of the speed of population decreasing is going to speed up. Yeah. And you call it collapse. I agree with
accelerating
that.
Collapse. Accelerating collapse. And then the common rebuttal is like, well, what about immigration? Like, from where?
So we have heroes without capes, back to the homeless. What do we do? What do you do? So all this finger pointing on Facebook, and then you get the bad guy. Oh, go get a job. Kick them out of the yard. Have a little sincerity. You know, they're people. Doesn't matter what you say. Nobody's doing anything about it. All right. Society's kind of dumped on them and forgotten about them, kind of like our seniors. Okay. It's sad state we're in. People like that lady that you saw in the opening of the show is doing something about it. And in case you forgot that person's name, her name is Cora Leah Vidal. She's going to be on the next show. But I care. I like people, and I want them looked after.